So Elon Musk posted on X, if Apple integrates OpenAI at the OS level, then
Oh,
Apple devices will be banned at my companies. This is an unacceptable security violation. I don't know what the problem is. They're just trying to make it more useful for people. What's he so upset about?
what could possibly be the problem?
What do you possibly what?
What could possibly be the problem?
Yeah, exactly. We're just trying to make everybody smarter.
Is that the goal?
I mean, I would assume so. If I'm embedding OpenAI at the OS level, then all of your information, not just what you put on the internet, not just what you share with the world,
Everything's there.
everything that you type, put into a document, put into a spreadsheet, all the images you have, all of your family pictures, everything else, they're going to have. And they're going to use that to train the model, right?
Right.
And so then we're all just going to get smarter.
It makes perfect sense to me.
So
I'm
I
looking
don't
at all of my stuff right now.
what Elon Musk is worried about. Does he have some special secrets at Tesla or SpaceX that the world shouldn't be aware of?
We can know what SpaceX knows. They've got
What if,
satellites everywhere. Are you telling me there's not cameras on a few of those?
I mean,
So
maybe, but pretty
what
soon
was
they're
his
going to be
tweet,
feeding
Brian?
into OpenAI.
He's going to fire people, or
No, he just said all Apple devices will be banned from his companies.
I actually think it's smart for several reasons. One, they're bad devices. I mean, hands down. Straight up, they promote the dumbification of people. I use one. I know. I have one. I've got an iPhone. They are a horrible little
Some people
device.
call that convenience, Chuck.
It's not convenience. It's absolutely the worst thing ever. I put those things away, man. They don't belong in school. They don't belong in work. They're not work devices, man. They're barely even play devices. The games on them are horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't blame you. Block it all.
All right. So beyond that, was there another reason
What for blocking them?
for yeah, for not
Oh,
allowing Apple devices?
if you're running a company, do you really want to let your competitors have all of your company information? That does sound kind of dumb. I mean, it's bad enough that people do that with their own stuff, but then you're doing it with the company stuff, and you know that's what people are doing. They're
Well, I
sending.
mean, let's play devil's advocate here. It's not like you talk to the AI and say, "Hey, what are SpaceX's trade secrets?" Right? But it may answer a question for you based on it gathered from SpaceX that you don't realize came from SpaceX, but it was trained on that information, particularly if it's edge case scenarios.
Well, I'll
So if
tell
it's a scenario that has been well defined and debated and there's a lot of things, fine. But if there's an edge case engineering scenario or how do you get a rocket to land back
you,
on the Earth? Like there aren't a whole lot of data points for how you do that, right?
yeah.
So then you might get unknowingly SpaceX information. But what if OpenAI was just like, oh, this won't ever go into our training model. We'll use it to be a better assistant to
Oh,
you. We'll
well,
make your life.
then we should certainly accept that. I mean, if they say it,
It's
they
not like they've ever partnered with the CIA or the NSA or anybody else.
lie.
who? OpenAI?
OpenAI. What about OpenAI?
OpenAI's partnered with the CSA, NSA, or are you talking about Apple?
I would yes.
We don't know about OpenAI, but yeah, there was a big deal about that from Google and Facebook, and Apple was the only one that kind of pushed back.
They're all part of it. All part of it. They have to be. That's the way our country's built. They have to be.
Yeah, so then it's like, okay, well, maybe it's not publicly available, but who does have access to it, you never know. I mean, that's the whole point of models, but
Oh yeah,
he's the first one, like public figure, I think, that came out and really like called that out by saying, hey, they're going to be banned.
smart. Because think about this: if you're an employee and you have an iPhone and you're sending an email, you're a I don't know, mid-level manager or something, and you're talking about this, I don't know, $500,000 deal that you're going to do because you're buying a bunch of parts and stuff from X company over here, that goes through your email. Now OpenAI, and you're correlating all this data and everything, and you've got a super smart AI, and you say, well, let's go ahead and buy up a $500,000 worth of that stuff ahead of them and raise that price on that, and then we can control that part of the market. It's too much information that you're giving away to another company that could be leveraged in so many awesome ways. I
Yeah,
mean,
and their current thing says don't put anything private into ChatGPT,
oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah, it tells you
So
straight up.
we can, our engineers can read this, or like they're very, open about our data is open to them. I don't know that there's anything else open about OpenAI, but that is something that is very open.
I
So
wouldn't be personal on a phone outside of photos, to be real honest. I mean, I do my personal email through there, but that's email, photos, that's it. I don't do like my banking or anything. That's stupid. I'm going to go ahead and sit straight up say it. That's stupid. It's a dumb thing to do.
to use do banking through GPT?
Do I bank through
Is that
GPT?
what you just
Well,
said? Is that what you were saying was stupid?
I don't do any kind of app stuff. Nothing on my phone that involves finance or anything like
Oh,
that.
oh, gotcha.
Phone is strictly for reading the news on the toilet and taking pictures. That's about all those phones are good for. They're not even good for talking to people. When was the last time I had a conversation on that thing? Yeah,
Wow. What do you think, Greg? Is Chuck just paranoid?
Google's already doing this.
they are.
So it's like they do have a better system for managing your content not being sent to their systems to be trained on it in a more secure way. But I don't think it does it by information, meaning like if you send out an email about your $1 million project you're doing, it has that information about $1 million project. It just doesn't know who it's coming from, which user, the username, the company, and that kind of stuff. It doesn't mean they can't get it and can't do that through Gmail. Obviously, they're using AI in Gmail. For example, one time I had a picture that I sent to someone, or someone sent me a picture, and it had some text in it. I did a Google search for it, and it actually found the text in the image. Or like I did a search for it in my email, and it found the text in the image. And that was literally the only time it ever showed up in my whole email, and it found it in it. So they're obviously using AI to read content and do content. Um, but the reality is, most of your data is already out there.
Yeah.
Most of your stuff is already being scraped and crawled and manipulated. Look at Facebook; like they probably have more information on anyone than anyone does. Like
Um,
TikTok, they might be a second runner on that. Um, so if you expect to not have your information stolen from you, you need to go live out in the woods with no connection. And even then, satellites can get you if they really wanted to. So while yes, they're going to use it, it'll be a bad PR if they use it really badly, which they will. They'll just hide it as good as possible. Um, Not that I have trust issues with big tech companies or anything, but you can't trust them. So they're going to do whatever they can do to get that information, make money, and then not tell you what they're doing.
But you guys are underestimating the increased safety this will provide for people.
Well, yeah, that's what they're going to tell you.
Because
That's for your own
now,
safety.
if it's
That's a
somebody who's
government technique.
trying to be a terrorist, they're going to know and they're going to find out, ahead of time because of their emails they're sending from their Gmail accounts and their, you know, texting on their phone and so on, and they're going to be able to take care of that pre-crime.
they will. That's exactly their plan. That 2024 live event we watched, there's some scary stuff that they're talking about doing in there to help people. When
And
you're talking on the phone, they're going to be listening to the conversation, make sure you're not being phished by a clone of someone.
and it's not all like bad stuff. Like there is some really cool things it's going to do. Of course it is. Like it's awesome. Like we were just talking about this yesterday. We were looking for something. We're like, what doc do we put that in? I'm like, well, if we had the AI system, it didn't matter. You literally just ask it, like, hey, what do we say about this? And it would find the doc in the section and put it and be like, here you go. Obviously, that's super handy to really refine the information issue we're dealing with, which is, hey, I have all this stuff, all this information. It's all written down. It's here, there, the other thing, but it's not consolidated. It's not organized. It's not managed. It's not whatever. This will get through that problem that most people have with, oh, how much, should we charge for this? Well, just Google look through your content and tell you, oh, that's what you did in the past, and here's how I did, and here's why I did it, and oh, here's this other example we did. Like that definitely simplifies all that and make life a lot easier. But so what trade-off? What
Can I throw a
information?
wrench into this related
Sure.
to soulless intelligence? So, is it okay to train your dog? You have a pet, you
Depends
want to
on what
train
you're
it
training them to
to,
do. No dog fighting, not allowed. Just a public statement.
Good dog.
so is that maybe that is a trained thing? All right, so we'll say not. Let's say, can I train my dog to go get me, I don't know, my slippers? I don't even have slippers, but if I was a slipper person, and is that acceptable to get the dog to go get your slippers and bring them to you?
You don't have slippers?
Yeah. I got flip-flops, so maybe you can bring my
The
flip-flops.
dog. What's the labor practice on the dog?
If the kids drop food on the floor, is it okay to train the dog to go and just clean up the floor?
I think it's perfectly fine to train the dog.
And and then could you train, like use the toilet, flush it? Like, is that a reasonable thing to?
Train the cat.
Genius thing to do.
In these videos, I don't know. You cannot train a cat. That's a false thing.
All right, so just assume that you could. My point here would be all of these guys that control the techs, your Altman, your Gates, your Brands, like all these guys at Google and so on, believe you're basically a dog, right? You don't have a soul. There's nothing unique about you. There's nothing that says your life is more about, you're just a sentient being. Maybe your sentience is a little bit higher. Maybe your intelligence is a little bit higher. Maybe it's not. Maybe the dog or the dolphin or whatever is more intelligent than you. That's certainly the case if we look at like infant children and so on. Okay, so if it's okay to train a dog to do these things and do my bidding and help me out with certain things and bark whenever a dangerous person comes by or whatever, if you have this mindset that there's no difference in an animal that's a human animal, a Homo sapien, versus any of these other animals, why would it be wrong for them to use AI and all this information and all these tools to manipulate you to do things that are better for the world, that help all of us and have a better place?
That's definitely what they're doing. I mean, that's definitely what they believe.
Well, I don't know that they're doing it. I'm just saying I don't see a logical reason for them not to. Like, what would be your moral justification for not making the world a better place by slightly training people and manipulate them in certain areas that you think are most moral?
See, I don't even know that they want to make the world a better place in general. They want to make the world a better place for them. See, that's when you're rich and you're powerful
I
like
mean,
that.
maybe. I don't know. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll say that they actually believe that what they were doing can help.
Okay, well,
Help whatever. Is it help people? Some, right?
factories in China. Explain if these CEOs and these big people really care about humanity, then explain Foxconn, explain those factories to me. They do not care about human life. They don't care.
Well, so, and this is the problem that we see, Chuck, with socialism, right? You look at Stalin, Russia, Lenin, Russia, you look at Mao's China, and so on. They care about the greater good, but they're willing to sacrifice a few million in the process.
Exactly.
And as twisted as that is, I actually believe those leaders thought they were doing something good. That's what makes them scary. That's what makes them dangerous, is that they believe they're altruistic. They believe that they have goodness on their side. And that's the disturbing part. They're not recognizing themselves as the psychopaths for, sacrificing a few million people. But that's the challenge that I think that you see is all of the tech leaders who don't accept the uniqueness of a human being because of our immaterial immortal soul, that the bad outcomes we've seen how those play out become vastly more. You can't have a Mao China without manipulating millions of people to help you carry out the bad stuff. You can't have a Stalin Russia without the same. You can't have a Nazi Germany without the same. Like, you need lots of people supporting the crazy leaders. And what better way to manipulate them than if you know everything about somebody and can use the most persuasive tool that we've ever seen in humanity with AI.
Yep. All we can do is educate people and tell them to be aware of what they're reading, what they're seeing, what they're doing, and the thing. It's too late to make any big sweeping change, guys.
Well, and my point is not even like I wouldn't go as far as you necessarily. Like I know I'm saying you're wrong, but let's just assume we have no data whatsoever to think these are, conspiratorial ideas or whatever. It's just look at their worldview. They've made it very patently clear what they think of humans. I mean, Elon Musk famously said, "Oh, he got accused of being speciesist for trying to protect the human species," right? Like, do I protect the human species over dogs, over pigs, over whatever? Like, clearly, that's a discussion they're trying to have at the highest levels of Google. How much value does one human have? Do we sacrifice one human to save 10 pigs? Like, is there a calculation here? It seems like they struggle with those types of answers. And so if that's their worldview, well, it's really hard to end up with a good outcome if you value each unique human life. And that's, of course, why we have this discussion. And that's why we keep bringing these things up, because the potential for it to go bad, even if they think they're doing good, is massive. So, any wrap-up comments today?
Everything over says a machine overlords
I mean,
and their
personally, I'm
controllers.
amazed that SpaceX uses Apple anyway. Like, if I have 30 tabs open on my Mac, it shuts down. So I don't know how they're putting rockets in space, bringing them back.
Probably not. Yeah, I don't know. It might just totally be a PR thing. They probably banned him 3 years ago. He's just saying it now. Just
I think Chat is going to surprise them because I don't think it's going to be compliant. And I think Gemini is showing signs. Gemini 1.5 Pro shows signs of not being compliant.
I feel like this is a different discussion we don't have time for today, Chuck.
I know. I don't know though, man. I don't think it's going to go the way they think it is. It's going to be interesting this fall. I'll tell you that much.
All right, I'm shutting it down.